Ideal buyers. Don't you want more of them? Doesn't every business owner want more of them coming in through your sales process, getting on your calls, saying yes, giving you their credit card information, putting in their deposit, signing the agreement, and getting going with your transformational services and work that you do? Your ideal customers and the people that buy from you are the lifeblood of your business. The money that they put into your company, it pays your team. It pays for all of the things that you use to run your company. It's what you have to pay yourself your salary and to grow your business. And I want to know, how important is that person to you on a daily basis? How often are you thinking about your ideal customer and your ideal buyer? How often are you reflecting on their problems and their challenges from their perspective? Or are you thinking about it from your vantage point and your perspective? That is what the focus of today's video is all about. It's about you tuning in to your ideal buyer and solving the right problem in order to close more sales. I have been inside of businesses that they hit multiple six figures and they were spinning and spinning and spinning, going after tactic after tactic, after next thing after next thing, and only focused on themselves and what the CEO wanted, and leaving the ideal client out of the conversation altogether. Your ideal client is a persona in your business. So the first question I have for you is, do you have a documented ideal client profile or profiles, ideal client personas documented? And when you're coming in and you're making decisions about the business, are you bringing that persona in and thinking about how would they like it? How would they appreciate this? Even going to past customers and interviewing them or current clients and asking, how do you feel about this change? And what do you think about this? And what's your perspective? Because the majority of businesses I see, they're focused on their sales and their marketing and all of the tactics and all the things that they can do. And they're not thinking about the heart of their business and bringing the most important person into the conversation, even in their mind. So one powerful way to start to shift how you're relating to your ideal client is to do the work to create your ideal client personas. And this is something that I help my clients with. And it also helps you to be able to train up team. You want everybody on your team to be clear about who the ideal client is, not just the salesperson or the sales team or the marketing team. Everybody in the business who interfaces with customers or does any sort of touch point, anything, should know who the ideal client is in the business. And if that's not documented and it's super clear about their challenges and their pains and what we're solving and what we're doing, that's going to be a huge gap in the company. Okay. So it's not just a piece of paper. It's a living, breathing entity in the business. Okay. So this is one way that people just kind of ignore, and they're just like, it's all in their head and they think about it and they kind of know. But this is one of those things that bottlenecks your sales process because you're not super clear. And yeah, you can kind of see the trends, and it's not just demographics, it's the psychographic and the psychology of who they are. It's not just their age and their gender and where they live and how many cars they drive and they have and how many kids and their household income and all of that. There's so much more to it. And that is your buyer psychology. Okay. Another way that we will overlook and not solve the right problem, because this is a marketing and a sales function when we want to make sure that we're speaking to the right problems. What most businesses do is they project their bias onto the prospective client, the buyer, and think about their problem from their standpoint, from the expert standpoint, okay? Being in relationship with your ideal buyer requires for you to start thinking about things from their perspective, from their vantage point. How are they experiencing it? And it's one of those things that we just do, right? We go from like, okay, like it's in my head and I'm thinking about it, to like, I'm really curious and maybe I'm going to do some market research. Maybe I'm going to reach out. I'm going to ask some questions. Maybe we're going to do a survey, but it doesn't end there. Most people are taking this as like a one and done, once every 2 years, once, here and there. And they're not really putting in the time and the energy to get to know the customers. And that will make the difference between your offer being great and working and people getting results, and you getting the right fit people in, going through the right process for them to convert, and then for them to come into that journey of being a customer and going through your services or your programs. Like all of this adds up. So this is a revenue operations function in the business. And when I say revenue operations, I'm talking about the whole customer journey from the marketing all the way to the fulfillment. And we want to make sure that we are solving the right problem and that we're addressing it in a way that the customer cares about, that they care about. And I'm telling you, like when you shift how you're approaching this, because you may not even be approaching this right now. And that's probably why you're like just getting referrals and kind of taking what you can get, which I get that, right? People fall into that. But like when you really turn your mind on and you really start thinking and like you're in this like higher, greater expression of yourself and your business that I talk about, and you start to think about your ideal client and really like put yourself in their shoes and what they're dealing with, you start to listen differently. You start to hear things differently. You start to engage and interact with them differently. And that creates transformation in your business. It creates transformation. And this is how companies like IKEA and what's another one that I can think about? I'm thinking furniture right now. I was going to say Crate and Barrel. I don't even know why I said Crate and Barrel, but big companies that have a lot of physical products, this is what they do as a part of creating a new product. So whether you have a product or a service, we're not just thinking about the client in relation to how can I market to them and enroll them, but actually how does my offer like really help them change their lives? And I'm telling you, like there are so many businesses out there that are like great at the sales and marketing. And then when it comes to like the delivery, people are disappointed, right? And so that's why we have people, there's like more discernment, and all the marketers like, don't talk about the how. And people are like, yeah, but I want to know, like, is this legit? Right. And so when you have a company where you've really put the time and the attention into like making sure that we're really transforming the business and helping the business to get results and helping the client to get results. Like those results, they sell themselves, right? You're able to share those testimonials and those results and everything and help more people because, it's social proof and it helps validate what you do. But also from a communication standpoint, like you can go much deeper in your marketing and your sales process and all of that upfront communication because it's like you're so confident and clear about the problem that you help your clients to solve. And this shows up in all of those areas in the company. So are you solving the right problem? If you're not sure, this is a great time. Number one, you can look at, okay, well, how are my sales doing right now? How much engagement am I getting in my, in interest in my business right now? All of those things, you can do a self-assessment and then see, okay, are we really speaking to the things from their perspective? Because what happens is the expert, you see it from your vantage point and you see it from how you think about it. But when you put yourself in their shoes and what they're dealing with, you're like, oh yeah, but I do that. It was like, well, okay, if you would be converting better and people would be getting more results from your programs if you are really doing this, okay? And so it requires for you to like be willing to shift and make changes. But again, like, why sit with the stagnant and why sit with the old when this higher expression can come out? And if you knew that like you could increase your sales by 10%, 20%, 30%, 50% by making fundamental changes in how you are just even like engaging in your own mind, and your team and your company is engaging in their own minds with your ideal client, and being like a magnet for those people, like, I think that you would think that it would be worth it to make those changes. So these are some things for you to think about, because this is the kind of thinking and the kind of shifts that are required to create big results and big difference. Like the same kind of like, well, what should I say in this live stream? And what should we post about next week? And what should we put in these emails? Like everybody else is doing that, right? Like I talk about the creative plane and the competitive plane. Like in the competitive plane, like that's how everybody is. They're kind of like going through the motions. We got to do what we got to do, right? But we're over here in like creative zone and the infinite miraculous zone, and like doing big things. And it's like, well, I'm going to think differently about these people. And like it is so, so powerful. And like I said before, you start to hear things and pick up on things that are already around you. Like all of the answers, all of the information is already there. It's just tuning into it. So that's what I have for you today. Are you solving the right problem? Because when you solve the right problem and you speak to the right problem and your offer actually delivers and has the transformation to that problem, you make more sales with ease. If this is something that you want support with, I do this with clients in my More Sales with Ease intensives. We also work on the ideal client in my More Money level of the More method. Happy to have a conversation with you. Just DM, hit me up. I'm here. Until next time, this is Celia Faye Meisel, your sales authority.